Hope the screen is visible to all.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Okay. So let us start our day with prayers to Shri Radha Govinda and seeking blessings of our Guru Parampara. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamanyam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Cha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarin Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So let us continue our discussion of chapter 15 Purushottam Yoga. So before moving on to the further slokas, let us have a quick recap on what we discussed yesterday, key points. So who is to go ahead today?
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, actually we have started with 15th chapter with becoming detached with the material world. Means like it's a reflection of spiritual world. Means Mayavadi has been trapped into our Maya world, into material nature. So we need to be very conscious into it, and we need to keep our subconscious mind into our material nature, detachment of material nature, and go to the spiritual world. And next is Purushottama Yoga, transcendent. It's like a banyan tree, Prabhuji. In a banyan tree, we have many leaves and trees and all, everything. It starts from the root of Brahmaloka and it goes till Vaikuntha Loka. And we need to take each and every part as then four regulative principles and everything, Mataji, Prabhuji. And next is Krishna's position in...
Yeah. That is we are going to discuss.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That
these
is
are the two sections we discussed.
Two sections we have discussed.
And one minor correction is this root starting from Brahmaloka growing downwards in the material world, not to the Vaikuntha Loka.
Yes.
And this material world is the perverted reflection of this spiritual tree, which is there in the spiritual world.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Right? So this is one important thing. And then what we understood is all the demigods are the top level of this root. And as we engage more into sense enjoyment activities, we tend to fall down to the bottom of this tree.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
And one more important thing is this tree is being nourished, watered by three modes of material nature.
That is three Vedas.
Yes. So more we are trying to lord over this material nature, more we have this enjoying propensities, we will try to get entangled more into this material world. And we discussed that desire is what separates from the spiritual tree and the material tree. Our desire to serve Krishna, we will elevate to the spiritual tree, and our desire to serve Maya and our own senses, we will continue to entangle within this unending branches of material tree.
Material tree.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
And transmigration, we discussed that who can see this soul transmigrating, who cannot see, right? So two kind of people we discussed, the fallible as well as the infallible. That we will discuss more in detail in today's session. Anything I missed? Any points devotees wish to add here, or we can move further?
Yes, it's correct, Prabhuji. We can move further.
Yes. So any inputs from other devotees?
And when we have Krishna as a center, Prabhuji, in all our activities, then everything gets more easier. We also learned that. And the main thing was, yeah, you already said that our desire is the main thing which separates us. So, yes. And Krishna is also above the fallible and the infallible.
Yes. Yes.
Krishna.
Okay. So today the section C, we are discussing Krishna's position as maintainer of the entire universe. As we discussed, peace formula, Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Surdam Sarva Bhutanam, Yatvamam Shantim Rachati. So we need to be very clear that the supreme enjoyer of all the yagnas is the Supreme Lord, and he is the Supreme Master who is maintaining all of us. When we are in his shelter, then any material miseries, any material distress does not affect us. So as other day we said, we need not have to go to Krishna and say, how big is my problem? Rather, we have to tell to our problems, how big is Krishna? That should be the mood we have to develop, right? So let us start with the sloka 15.12. Somebody wish to take up?
Yad aditya gatam tejo jagat vasite khilam yat chandramasi yachagnav tat tejo vidi mamakam. The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also from me. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So here we understand all the splendors of sun, moon, everything is coming from Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. In similar lines, there is a beautiful shloka in chapter 7.4 Bhagavad Gita. Bhumir apo nalovayu kam mano buddhir evacha ahankara itiema binna prakriti astada. So in this, the earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are our gross material body, and the subtle body is the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Krishna is saying everything is coming from him. If all these 8 material body, which constitutes of material body, is separated material energy, is what Krishna is saying. So everything we need to understand is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the supreme proprietor of everything. The atheist or unintelligent people, or even we can say ungrateful people, do not realize all these things, that Krishna is, everything is coming from Krishna. They only think that I studied, I got the job. Because my job, I work hard, I am earning money. And it is everything, it is for my own enjoyment. 99% of the world population is with this consciousness, and that is the very reason they are all struggling in this material world. So when we see that the splendors of sun, moon, fire is so important, we are going to discuss in our further slides. It is everything, when it is coming from Krishna, we feel so grateful. When we wake up in the morning, when we see light, we need to realize this is mercy of Krishna. If there is no light, if it is darkness, can you imagine how our day is going to be? When we drink water, we have learned The taste of water is Krishna. So this is the way we need to have that gratitude within us. And that is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. And that will help us to rise in our self-realization and our constitutional position, that Krishna being the supreme maintainer and we are his servants. And that will be the basis to go back to the Supreme Lord. Break free from this material entanglement. We have to cut this material entanglement by the sword of detachments and with the knowledge. So this is the knowledge. This is the self-realization. With this, we can cut this material entanglement and go back to Krishna. So we need to understand, without the mercy of Krishna, there cannot be sun. Without his mercy, there cannot be moon. Without his mercy, there cannot be fire. And we know that without sun, we can't live, isn't it? Without moon, there is a significance of moon, the effulgence of moon, which will be discussed in our further slides. The fire, no one can live. With this thought, it will provoke Krishna consciousness in a conditioned souls like us. So we need to be always humble and we should be always grateful. Let's move to the next sloka. Somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Gama vishya cha bhutani dharayamyaham mojasa pushnami chaushati suryaha somo bhuta rasatmakaha. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Gravity is very important force. It keeps our planet orbiting the sun and ropes our galaxy together.
So here, what we need to understand is the entire planetary system which is floating in the air, how it is controlled. It is all controlled by the supreme will of the Lord, with the energy of the Lord. And Lord enters into these planetary systems, and to the level of every atom, the Lord enters through his all-pervasive nature. And how it is all been held together. Prabhupada says a beautiful analogy that if in our fist, if we have a handful of dust kept in our hand, all these dusts are within our hand. If we throw it in the air, it is all gone. There is no control. So similarly, Krishna is holding all the planetary system within his hands. And the importance of moon is mentioned here. All the eatable, the fruits and vegetables, it becomes palatable because of the effulgence of moon. The rasatmaka is a very important word here. All food becomes palatable due to the effulgence of moon, which is again coming from the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord holds the earth, which gives vegetable, and from vegetables, and the vegetables are nourished by the moonshine, and as a result we are eating the vegetables, and that is sustaining, maintaining us. Let us move to the next sloka.
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashvitaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidam. I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So here, the importance of fire is being discussed in this sloka. As we know, as per Ayurveda, we understand that there is fire inside our stomach. and that fire will digest all kind of food which is put inside, isn't it? When the fire is not blazing within our stomach, can you imagine the condition of us, whatever we had, if it is not getting digested, how the situation is going to be? So here we understand the fire again is the representative of Krishna. And the similar verse is given, reference is given in Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. So 5.9.1, it says, I am Agnir Vaishwanaro, Yoyam Anta Purushe, Yene Dham Annam Pachyate. So it says the Supreme Lord or the Brahman is situated in the form of fire within the stomach and is digesting all kind of foodstuffs. So here, to digest, we need Krishna's energy as fire and life air, outgoing and incoming. And here, unless the Supreme Lord help us to digest, there is no possibility of food digestion or even we are able to eat the food. And 4 kind of food is being mentioned here. Some can be drunk, some can be chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. And we understand that Krishna is the digestive force within us. So already I've said, without this, we can't even imagine our day-to-day life, isn't it? This is my favorite sloka. Anybody want to take up, or I will take it up?
Prabhu, it's your favorite, so better you take it up. Next I'll take it.
Okay. Sarvasya chaham ridhi sannivisto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. Yeah, please, English translation, somebody can read.
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
I am settled in our everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgettableness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the completer of the Vedanta, and I am the known of the Vedas. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So this verse clearly gives us a direction that Krishna is residing in our heart as Paramatma. So living entity, we tend to forget everything from our past life. But who is the witness of all our karma? So Krishna is witnessing. So all the good things, all the devotional things, whatever we have done, Krishna gives that remembrance to us. Krishna gives us that intelligence to continue that. At the same time, whoever has done impious activity, Krishna is the witness. So whatever pious activity, whatever devotional service we have done in the past life, it will continue to the next life. Again, one more important concept we need to understand is, people say it is only one life and enjoy to the core. So here we understand whatever we do, good or bad, we get the next birth and continue our further things as per our desire as well as our karma. This again clarifies my long-standing question of why somebody take birth in a very poor family or in a very rich aristocratic family. So this clearly says here. Yeah, I was always thinking, whatever difficult situation I am going through, it is because of my karma. But a just born baby, what is that baby's mistake? Why such an indifferentiation to such a baby? So here we get the clarity. And Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. From all the Vedas, Krishna says, I am to be known. So Krishna is worshipped as incarnation of Vedas. The Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, is known as the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So it is not any ordinary book. There are devotees who have read Bhagavad Gita more than 100 times. I have heard them saying, every time they read, they get a new message out of it. They get a new lesson out of it. So Krishna continue to interact through us. It is known as revealed scriptures. So more we surrender, to the degree to which we surrender, we get more realization. So the importance of Veda is mentioned here. who is the person? I asked this question before as well. Who is the only person who can say, who is my father?
Your mother.
Yes. So Veda is given a position of mother. Through Veda, we get the knowledge of our supreme father, that is Krishna. And we discussed that Krishna is the supplier of everything which is required for us. Krishna is the digester of the food stuff. He is the maintainer, and he is the witness of all the activities we are doing, and the giver of the knowledge. Only by mercy of Krishna, we are here listening to the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? So Krishna is the most merciful Lord and the worshipable Lord. Anta pravista shasta jananam. It says, living entity forget everything once he leaves his body, but Lord gives him the intelligence to renew our devotional activities from where we left. That is the very reason, if we look back, some or the other way, we came into this Krishna consciousness movement, isn't it? There is some through somebody we have come. So that person could be the one who has sent by Krishna for us to continue. And if one is serious in continuing in this path, then Krishna facilitates everything. Krishna gives us the intelligence to continue. As said, we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 100 steps towards us. Krishna wants us to go back to the Goloka more than we want to go back. That is what senior devotees say. And so in this verse, the purpose of Veda, the understanding, how do we understand the Veda and the goal of Veda is clearly defined. So what is the purpose of Veda?
It is
show
to
us
Understanding the Lord.
no,
Hare Krishna?
it is to understand Krishna.
Yes, it is to understand our constitutional positions. Who is Krishna and what is my constitutional position? And how do we, once we know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, my purpose is to serve. So that is Abhideya. First is Sambandha Jnana and then Abhideya. The devotional service, chanting of holy names, all these things re-establish our connection with Krishna. And the goal of Veda is, what is the Prayojana? Prayojana is Krishna Prema. That is the final goal we are all trying to achieve. So we are getting into the last section. This is 3 Shloki Bhagavad Gita, in which the entire summary of Vedas and Vedanta kinds of living entity is discussed in this section. Somebody can read this.
The 15th shloka also explains us about that. If someone asks that where in the body where Krishna is seated, so we can tell them that in the heart.
Yes, Mataji.
Uh,
Yes.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Please, Mataji.
Daiva imo purusha loke karascha chakshara eva cha karasha sarvani bhutani kutasto kaschara uchyati. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible. Correct.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So here, Krishna is giving the summary of Vedanta Sutra, and among various innumerable living entities, we understand there is 2 kinds of living entities. One is fallible and infallible. The one is conditioned, the other is liberated. So the one who understands that he is the part and parcel of Krishna and his purpose is to serve Krishna, such a person will in a liberated platform is infallible, and the person who is entangled in this material world, consider him to be the enjoyer. He is the lord of the material nature. Such a person is infallible. Such a person is fallible. And in the material world, the body continues to change. We have discussed 6 types of changes we have discussed before, where the body takes birth, growth stage, he stays in that position, reproduction happen, and then gradually dwindling, and then finally he will vanish. So there is a continuous change, whereas in spiritual world there is no change to the body. It says there is no old age, there is no birth or no death in the spiritual world. So let's move to the next sloka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Uttama purushastvanya paramatmetyudahritah yo lokatrayam avishya bhibartavyaya ishvaraha. Can I go ahead with the translation, Prabhuji? Or
Somebody wish to take up who has not participated yet?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So there is a beautiful verse Prabhupada mentioned multiple times from Upanishad. It says, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So the meaning of this is, among all the living entities, both conditioned and the liberated, there is above these 2 living entities, that is the supreme living personality, that is supreme personality of Godhead. And the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, maintains these both kind of living entity and give them everything which is needed according to his desire, is what it says. And as Mataji also previously said, supreme personality of Godhead is situated in everybody's heart as Paramatma. And a wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain the perfect peace and not others, is what it is said. Let us move to the next sloka.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yasmat ksharamatoham aksharaadapi chottama atosmi loke vede cha pratitah purushottamah. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here it is clearly said, the supreme personality is above all these kind of living entities, and he is celebrated both in the world as well as Vedas as the supreme person. So it is incorrect to think that we and the Krishna are in the same level. All the living entities, including demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva, are under the influence of the material modes, whereas Krishna is above that. And I'm sure you all know 10 Nama Aparadas. One of the Nama Aparada is to consider the demigods like names of demigods like Lord Brahma or Shiva to be equal or independent to the names of Lord Vishnu. What is the first Nama Aparada?
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life in propagating the name of the Lord's name. Yes.
So our tendency, the first thing, I am very good at that. The first thing is fault finding. We always need to see the good things in others and see the fault in ourselves. But what we do, we try to see the good things within us and see the fault in others. This is one key takeaway. We should never get into any kind of blaspheming, especially the devotees. It is like Hati Mata. It says that if we start blaspheming the devotees, it is like a mad elephant entering a beautiful garden. Can you imagine how the condition of that garden once this mad elephant destroys the entire thing? That is what happens to our bhakti. We are all just starting, so it is very important to avoid all these offenses to the holy names. Prabhupada always insists, continuously chant and chant without offenses. Yeah, and the word Uttama, Purushottama, is very significant, that nobody can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma in Brahma Samhita, he says 5.1, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Krishna, the Govinda, is the source of all sources and cause of all causes. So nobody can equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the three slokas, what we understood is there are two kind of living entities, fallible as well as infallible. The fallible are the one who is conditioned in this material world, material tree, and the infallible are the one who are liberated and they rise to the spiritual platform. Even in the material world, in the material body, we understood they can continue to be in this transcendental platform, provided they stay aloof from all the material activities and engage in devotional service. And the next, what we understood is the Supreme Soul is the master of both kind of fallible as well as infallible living entities. And Krishna, I am that Supreme Soul, celebrated both in the world, in Vedas, as the Supreme Person, is what Krishna is saying. That is the summary of these three sloki. So sloka 15.19, somebody can take up.
Yo mam evam asamuttho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mataji. So there is always lot of philosophical speculation happening across about the constitutional positions. Krishna is a supreme master and we are his eternal servant. This is the absolute truth. And this verse clearly clarifies that point, that whoever has this knowledge, he is the knower of everything. That is what we understand here. And the Vedic knowledge is known as Shruti, which is learning by oral reception. We have to listen to it. Shabda Pramana. Different type of acquiring knowledge. It is said that Anumana Pramana, Pratyaksha Pramana, and Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana is the best way, authorized bona fide way to understand Krishna. We discussed before that in neophyte stage, people try to see God from their eyes. Whereas as we progress, we need to see the Supreme Lord through our ears. We have to listen. And again, what is important is listening from a bona fide source. Guru Shishya Parampara. The Parampara is very important. Anybody speaking about Krishna or any of this subject matter, first thing you need to understand is from which Parampara he has come from. What is his Guru, the Parampara, right? And Krishna consciousness is preach one by getting taught by one. So there should always be a Guru Shishya Parampara. Now after this class, I am going to attend one more class from 10 to 12. So I am going to learn from my Siksha Guru. So this is how it has to continue. And the word bhajati is very, very significant. If a person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness, in the devotional service of the Lord, it is understood that he knows all the knowledge of Vedas. It is also said one has taken up Krishna consciousness and engaging in devotional service, it is like he has surpassed all the Vedic rituals. At the same time, somebody has spent all his life following Vedic rituals, but he did not understood the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord and us, then it is waste of time. So the last sloka for the day, somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uttam maya naha etad buddha buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. So here, the entire summary of this chapter is very clearly being told here that one who knows the constitutional position of the Lord and self and engage in devotional service, such a person will be freed from all the contamination of the material nature. So how do we break free from this big banyan tree, endless banyan tree, where we have completely entangled without knowing which branch, which route is going to take me towards the Supreme Lord? So this knowledge is going to help. And it is said that wherever there is devotional service excess, the material contamination cannot coexist. So gradually there will be purification. And the Lord is said to be the sun. And ignorance is known as the darkness. So wherever there is sun, wherever there is light, then there is no darkness of Maya. Hence, everybody has to take up to Krishna consciousness and engage in devotional service to become intelligent as well as purify our anarthas. The word anaga is important here. Anaga is referred to Arjuna. It is said, O sinless one, which means unless one is free from the sinful reaction, it is very difficult to understand the Krishna. So how do we purify ourselves? How can we become sinless? How this Kali Kalmasha is purified? Is only by chanting holy names and following 4 regulative principles. By following 4 regulative principles, it will help us to rise to the mode of goodness. Chanting purifies and it breaks free from all the sinful reactions. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nameva Kevalam. Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. 3 times it is said, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nameva Kevalam. That much importance is being given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for this verse. Right? So the devotional service is so pure and potent that once one is engaged in devotional service, he automatically comes to the stage of sinlessness. And the most important thing, one has to overcome the weakness of heart. The first fall down happens because of our desire to enjoy the material nature. And the second is increases this propensity to enjoy the material nature. It is like adding fuel to the fire. More fuel you add, it is going to blaze even much higher. So we have to regulate our senses, engage our senses in the service of the Rishikesha. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. What is the highest level of devotional service? Is engaging our senses in the service of master of senses Govinda. So the first 5 verses of this chapter, we discussed about the perverted reflection of this banyan tree, how we are entangled in these endless branches of this banyan tree, and how we are continue to go below to the lower stages of this tree by engaging in our material enjoyment activities, fruitive activities. And next onwards, we discussed about the Purushottama Yoga, where by engaging in devotional service, chanting the holy names, how we can overcome the weakness of heart and fix up at the lotus feet of Krishna. Man manabhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. The fixing up of our mind at the lotus feet of Krishna is the only way to progress and break free from these material entanglements. This is a very short chapter. So we are at the end of this chapter now. So any quick questions for the day we can discuss. And we can also take up some of your realization, key learnings, and we can stop the session.
Prabhuji, could you repeat about the Sambandha Jnana and Abhideya Jnana you said, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. See, Sambandha is understanding our constitutional position that Krishna is the Supreme Father and I am his eternal servant. Krishna is the Supreme Master, I am his eternal servant. This is Sambandha Jnana. Right? And we have lost this connection. We are struggling in this material world. So how do I go back? What is the process? That is Abhideya. Abhideya is engaging in devotional service, chanting holy names. And finally, the Prayojana. What is the Prayojana of all these things? What is the goal of Vedas? Is to attain Krishna Prema. To attain Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam Anukulasya Krishnanushilanam Bhaktir Uttamam. So getting that service, devotional service and Krishna is non-different, is what it is said. So engaging in devotional service without any expectation of any material gain is the Prayojana.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, actually, I have one doubt while I'm coming through the BV classes, 3rd and 4th chapter. So we see the difference between the Sampradayas, gurus, and I'm the superior and you are the owner. So why these differences between those many, even though every Sampradaya is going to the Krishna's Godhead, why there's, I'm not seen in Krishna consciousness, but other Sampradaya gurus will say that I am the superior, you have to read from me only, and like a kind of thing, why it is.
Prabhu, I don't know to what specific things you are saying. Without knowing, I cannot comment. What other Sampradaya is telling, I exactly don't know what you are trying to comment. See, at the end of the day, do not confuse with all these things. Every Sampradaya is saying Krishna is the Supreme Lord. We are the eternal servants. We have to engage in devotional service, break free from this material world, go back to Krishna. This is the summary of everything, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Right?
Right.
So, any other realizations? Hare Krishna. This is an important chapter. Anything from you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
When you were saying that this is the only one world that the person thinks, but we have like many births together, like this is not the only birth. But when the further explanations, when you said we need to do work towards Krishna, that is a abhyodaya, right, Prabhuji? So what I felt is the person should do that as if this is the only one life. So rigorously, so that in next birth he becomes more closer to Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabham. We have come to that stage. We are knowing Vasudeva sarvamiti. Krishna, Vasudeva is everything. Such a living entity is very, very rare. Having come to this level, we have to further rise and go back. We should not take any further chance to come back to this material world, and we don't know what kind of situation we are in. Whatever situation we are in, we know we are in the best situation to go back to Krishna. So we need to rise in our sincerity. We need to rise in our seriousness, in our sadhana, and then move on. Right?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This you were saying about why that you find the babies are suffering. Can you clear that point? That again, is it the past karma?
Yes, Mataji. Their prarabdha karmas, it is continuing. And this is the opportunity to purify those prarabdha karmas. And as said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Iti Shodakanamnam Kali Kalmashanashanam Nata Parataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Distate. This is being told by Brahma to Narada, that chanting of holy names is the only way one purify his Kali Karmasha. No other way, no other way, no other way. Having read all the Vedas, he says this is the only mantra. And our Prabhupada has given us minimum prescription. Other day, my son was not keeping well. We went to doctor. Doctor gave this tablet, 3 tablets in the morning, 3 tablets in the afternoon, 3 tablets in the night. So if we have 1 tablet in the morning, and if I remember, then I will have 1, or I will skip next day. Will the ailment go? So we are all entangled in this Bhavaroga. The only way to purify is chanting of holy names. Our acharyas have given minimum 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, and rise.
So, since the baby cannot chant, the parents should, isn't it?
Yes, Mataji. Babies, as there are many examples, Prahlad Maharaj have listened about the glories when he was in the stomach of his mother, isn't it? So it is very important. Even Krishna consciousness movement, our Acharya says, for our sense enjoyment, we get married. But our responsibility is to rise Krishna consciousness kids. So we have to give them that platform. That is our prime responsibility. Okay, any other realization lessons you got from this chapter, or we can end our session here?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
This is not a general question, that's my personal question. And I just wanted to have few points on that from you, that how can I be God-fearing? Like, how can I take everything so seriously? Because in spite of knowing so many things, still we tend to take things so lightly. So we are attending classes, reading Bhagavatam and everything, but still, like doing few of the things, we will not take it up seriously.
Yes. First of all, where there is fear, whatever you are doing with fear, it will not last long.
Not that much, that fearful.
No. I'm just trying to say is, wherever there is love, naturally it will happen. If my son has to study out of my fear, right, he will never progress in his studies. At the same time, if he has passion to study, or if we have seen, all of us have some passion in some or the other thing, we tend to do well in that. So we need to rise in the love. We need to understand, we need to have that gratefulness within us, that whatever we have come this far is the mercy of Krishna. And I will also touch upon your point, looking at from your own perspective, your realization that this is not the place to be. We are all struggling here. We are trying to find happiness which is not there. Dukkalayam ashashvatam. Any happiness I get, it is temporary. And my purpose is to go back. I don't want to struggle in this material world. With that knowledge, you rise in your seriousness. And more importantly, in association of devotees, you need to get inspired by the more senior and sincere devotees. Your seriousness will also rise, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
So
Hare
devotee
Krishna.
association is very, very important in our rise as well.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna. Just one more, one analogy you had said yesterday about the finger separated from the hand.
Yes, Prabhu.
That is of no use. Could you just explain? I couldn't get the context yesterday.
Yeah. See, Prabhu, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Right? If I want to enjoy on my own away from Krishna, it is like a finger outside this hand. Is there any meaning to this finger? If it is not attached to this hand, it is just a dead rubber, isn't it?
Yeah.
Similarly, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We need to realize this fact that we are the part and parcel of Krishna, and the finger's purpose is to stay attached to the hand and serve the body. Isn't it? You want to brush. If your hands, your fingers is not supporting, how do you brush? So in keeping in a simple way, we are the part and parcel of Krishna. The soul, the dharma of the soul is to serve. You can choose to serve Maya or you can choose to serve Krishna. So let us choose to serve Krishna. This is the takeaway from that analogy, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhasya cha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody.
Hare
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.